October the 4th, 1935 will go down to history as the date when the demon of war once again raised his head in the world. For months past, Mussolini has been sending the flower of Italy's manhood to Africa. Even his own sons are serving in the Italian Air Force, the wings of the Roman eagle ready to kill and to destroy. But although they are faced by a modern army equipped with all the modern engines of destruction, the warriors of Abyssinia are not afraid. Faced with invasion in the past, they fought for their country and their emperor. Now again they rally to his call. 10 million dark-skinned tribesmen, untrained in modern military tactics, armed for the most part only with spears, but in a frenzy of determination to fight to the death for the freedom of their land. And who can tell? With these men knowing every inch of their barren mountainous country, with rocky cover from rifle fire and bombs, aiming always at surprising the enemy and cutting them to pieces, they may well hold their own against a modern army. After all, at close quarters a spear can be as deadly as a rifle. So the Ethiopians go to meet the invader, wave upon wave of fanatical fighters. One thing is certain, when the war is over, thousands will lie dead in Ethiopia. But who will be the victor? The dictator of dictators or the king of kings?
You see this day too, a really significant day, you know.
Yeah, we turn on the mic.
Yeah. Really essential day. Yeah, the 5th of May, really, especially for the black population.
Yeah.
It was.
Let me find another one of Billy.
Okay.
This is what people wanted to harm me over.
But that thing they hide a lot of maybe what I'm saying and
this is what a lot of people wanted to fight against me over. Our own identity. Ethiopia's identity. Selassie's identity.
Well, you know, teach me always, so the teacher don't always give you all the answer, because you have a head also.
So you have to read and what you get out of it.
Yeah, for yourself too, because there is no test that you take that the teacher give you the answer for it. And here is this religious test that everybody want the answer. Now, even when they get the answer, they contend it.
Yeah.
His Majesty last night still. Yeah, I just a walk behind him and like some movie scene did come up. Maybe some white actor was there in his presence. Start the tune again, teach. Start the tune again. Pull it up again, teach.
white, Chinese or Indian. That's a prophecy for you and for me. Prophecy. Mama fingers, preservation. Our ancestral obligation to judge a great nation. Despite Babylon intervention. Prophecy. It's all for you to see. Prophecy. How righteous are we? Prophecy. It's all for you to see. Prophecy. How righteous are we? Bedu, chillat bedu. You better in a second telu. Bedu, atu bedu. Lawulum feraj besu bedu. Atu bedu, skana situ. Yede hanna bila sata mitu. Manu fela, ti manu kona. You between get to get ding 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 la do yeah. Ding 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 la do one day, God days, no living nothing inside. Whether you are black, white, Chinese, or Indian, that's a prophecy. We drop back against the wall, judgment them a come. We drop back against the wall, for them a want. And that's a prophecy. That was in the beginning, just so we and that's a prophecy. Come on, cause my friend, no wanna win, no tap, no good to talk to them.
That's what I want to tell you.
The prophecy,
Yeah.
Fulfilled.
prophecy fulfilled.
Every knee shall bend and tongue tell you, you know.
And it's, the prophecy is so impact.
Well, I mean,
Got to tell the story.
but you show me another man who so much man since
on the
sing
plateaus of the
about,
mountainous kingdom,
and he never
outweighed
go
the
around
world
telling
of
no
the
man
great.
to sing. Them all
No
want him
one
to
did
stop
anything
people from
effective to
singing
thwart
about
Il
him.
Duce's ambition.
The way, the energy.
Modern
Yeah.
The man called the heart ruler, Judah ruled the heart.
Well, you know, take out the name of that it bears, you know, towards the prophecy. To know more talk it. I will see enough people who say them is Rastafarians, Christians, that they accept that. Because them go silent.
Well, it all depends on which prophecy you follow.
Yeah.
Right? But we want to follow the prophecy and the teachings of His Majesty
Yeah.
according to the Bible. Right? And one of the biggest prophecies in the Bible is Christ's second advent. And that advent is He on the throne of David. And this is expressed in art and in Ethiopia history. Because that prophecy that Christ gave in Matthew 24 was about the time when He will return. And that time will be a time when nations shall rise against nations, kingdom against kingdom. And here in Ethiopia's history, we have under the word Megabiya. I read it from the book. Yeah, read it from the Amharic English Context Dictionary. Because all these things that were written down, people seem to be hiding.
Right.
So it says the prelude to the Second World War was the invasion of Ethiopia. Ethiopia merewar le huletenyawu alem tornet Megabiya neber. So that is what's written up here. The prelude to Second World War, which was the largest war, in human history. Today we see.
My father told me that it was a war between God and the devil.
Exactly.
Just like that told me.
They also call it the just war. The experts, the World War II expert them, but they never tell you about the beginning of the war, which was against Christian Ethiopia.
Even up until this day.
Well, the history show you that, and historian that wrote that in the Ethiopian Context Dictionary is a well-known Wolf Leslau.
Yeah, Wolf Leslau, yeah, man.
A language expert.
Right, a language expert, yeah, man.
And in his own way, an expert on, you know, the history of Ethiopia. But this invasion of Ethiopia, it began, but they don't want to tell it, began when a Solomonic prince by the title of Lihul Rastafari McQuenan was crowned under the sign of the cross on September 27, 1927. Under the sign of the cross and the Timidite Meskel. And when he was crowned, as this photograph here shows us, Rome, the Vatican Rome, sent emissaries to pay homages to the new king of Ethiopia, who was seated on the throne of David. As a matter of fact, when His Majesty, after that ceremony under the sign of the cross, and when he sat on the throne of David, he actually declared or said that I have sat upon the throne of David. Yeah, he declared that. And that farmers plow and traders trade. But he make sure to tell us that he was seated on the throne of David.
And he even say he would watch over them too.
Of course.
That is one part of it, yeah.
So Rome came. We see here in the photograph Father Jarasu, who brought the homage. And homages, if we were to remind those who are interested in our conversation, homages is when you are the vassal, you demonstrate publicly your vassalship to your lord. That is the definition of homages. So here Rome was paying or accepting themselves as the vassal and to serve the new king of Ethiopia by spreading the gospel of the apostles of Christ on the throne of David. Why would Rome then bow to the new king of Ethiopia?
Which was the king of Israel.
So after Rome paid homages to Negus Rastafari McQuenan, it angered a certain people. And in 1928, the three persons, Pope Pious XI, King Emanuel III, and Benito Mussolini signed a concordat called the Lateran Pact. And Laetitia is named after the Roman goddess of joy. So they signed a pact in that palace. And while they were doing that, it was to prepare the way to invade Ethiopia. But this was in 1928, but they were not ready yet. They were not really prepared militarily. Because the Italians performed poorly in World War I, and they were badly beaten in the skirmishes still. But the anger for him to be on the throne of David and saying, I'm the son of David, and all the ceremonies, and then the hurtful part of it is that they did pay homage to the king of Ethiopia. But the Lateran Pact with these three, they call them the unholy three, or you can call it, as in the Bible, the three unclean spirits. You know, you can translate it that way. What they did, it leaded up by 1928 to November 2nd, 1930. And on that coronation of His Imperial Majesty, in the seven-sided Church of St. George's in Addis Ababa, there were 49 priests in the chapel in 7 corners. and they were chanting psalms. 9 psalms of David non-stop, plus as it recorded in the National Geographic that they were chanting to the God of Gods.
Yeah. I read that.
For those who are in doubt, they can look up how history received the investiture of the Son of Man. And the reason why they were chanting to the God of God, because that is one of the titles of the Emperor Haile Selassie I, which you will find in the book of Daniel. So these things angered a lot of people, even though the coronation went ahead under the threat of the pending war.
Yeah,
the pending invasion. But what angered them, the anger we can deal with, because in excuse me, I'll clear. In the book of Revelation chapter 12, we see the dragon, the Zendo or the Ibato. And that anger was to retard or bruise the heel of the new ruler. So the child that she bear, as the prophecy in Revelation goes, that the woman with the sun over her head, the moon under her feet, having 12 stars, a crown of 12 stars.
Representing also the 12 apostles.
And the government and the 12th tribe of Israel and the government of His Majesty.
Right.
So, because of the coronation, when they were heard, because it was also shown in theater with voice, that they were chanting to the God of Gods.
Right.
This angered the dragon. And that is the history that you read in the book of Revelation chapter 12. That prophecy came to pass when the woman clothed with the sun above her head and the moon under her feet, which is expressed here, and in this one here for the 87 Psalms, you see right there, it tells you the 87 Psalms, which are pertaining to the Lion of Judah and the Empress Menin, who is the representation of Ethiopia, the woman Ethiopia.
I'll establish her.
Yeah.
Psalm 68 key.
Yeah, so the highest himself with Ethiopia, this man was born there, and the highest himself shall establish her. And if you really, I can appreciate that a lot of people, know Bible quotation and things, but when you see that in the 87 Psalms, that the highest himself is going to establish her, which is Ethiopia.
Right.
Isn't the highest himself Christ?
Right.
So why are they afraid to say that?
Right.
Because
he's the highest, so
who is higher than him?
Exactly.
And he himself said that after so who dare not to trust in he that is mightier than mighty. So the same is the highest.
Yeah, and his title shows
and his title shows.
But not only the title, but his nature shows this. What it tell you in this Ethiopian Orthodox Church illustration of Ethiopia stretch forth her hands unto God. Not soon.
Right.
Yeah, as well as
right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was implanted.
Yeah.
If it show you off,
right.
it's the past, present tense.
Stretch.
So this fall under the Adamic covenant because the serpent is involved.
Right. Right. So
who came and defeated Adam and all of them things there. But so in the second advent, in the prophecy of Christ's second advent in government, is what the serpent will cause him to be angry, as captured in the artwork.
Right.
So the head of the dragon, as we know, here they are, Lateran Pact, Benito Pious and the royal Phoenician king Victor Emanuel. That's the head of the dragon, where the decision was made to do all of this. The body represents the nation. Back at the dragon tail is those of our people who fight against the Bible, like greater personalities and them things. So this go down all the way up to Haile Mariam Mengistu, whose communist government actually completed the task of dethroning Christian Ethiopia.
Right.
This is the prophecies, because on this cross here, which we always explain, this mescal here, I have to big up the Reverend Sterling Means, the
Yes.
African American
Yes.
Sterling Means, who told us and all of them that the Emperor Haile Selassie is a soldier of the cross. Spoken like a true Israelite.
Yeah.
You know, in them film time, the song sing, soldiers of the cross. Which cross? If under the cross of Christ.
You see, he said that when others were having difficulties.
These difficulties, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
With reveal things that is revealed.
That they already said should
Yeah.
be revealed.
Should be
Yeah.
revealed.
And if you look there.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we see that happening.
Right.
Yeah. That
Those
hope.
people, others were having difficulty, but not the Reverend Sterling mean. He spoke that as a true Israelite,
Yeah.
just like how you would have say Nathaniel with Christ.
Right.
When him say, you are. Yeah, you are that person. You are the, So Mr. Sterling Meals, which the African Americans could honor him some more, because he had a lot of information to tell them if they would, heed his ways.
Sons of Sheba race was one.
Yeah, it's in there too.
Yeah.
So when him say His Majesty is a soldier of the cross, on this cross here, let me just show it up here for Jeff.
Can I go back a bit more? Yeah, go
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, on this cross here is the name of Selassie. Is the name of Jesus Christ. Is the crown of Selassie. Is the initial of the Kedamawi Haile Selassie, and the 68 psalms in the crown. This is the golden mescal, Selassie's golden mescal. There's the name Nigus Haile Selassie. Up here, it tells you, Jesus Christus, who was hanged on the cross, Zete Sekele, Kedebi Zintu. He was hanged, Meskel Iger Rotat. Christ was hanged on the cross so that his enemies shall be beneath his feet. And Kebe Nigiswo, we Sebiabetu, we Sirawito, Lemefekere, Ze Ike Neguse Haile Selassie. If those who might see our video, if you're in doubt of what we are saying, or that Christ was lifted on the cross is not Selassie, because this is Selassie's crown. Christ was lifted on the cross with the crown of thorns.
On his name.
Yeah, this is his name. If you have any objection, and you can actually just email us, subscribe, and we'll send you a copy free of charge, and you can do a Google search and let them translate, let the machine translate it for you.
See.
Yeah, do a Google search, because you can do that nowadays. Or you can find an honest person, maybe a white man, where they read it too.
Yeah, we can read Amharic.
Yeah, you can find them, because I don't really trust the Ethiopian priests them or Ethiopians in that matter when it comes to this issue. Because the dragon, this is the part of the cross where the dragon lick off. Yeah, right here. That's part of the invasion of Christian Ethiopia. The prelude to the Second World War. The largest war in human history. A war that was foretold by Jesus Christ, Matthew 24. And here I am again. One of the things that a lot of people fear is the divinity of Haile Selassie as expressed in this church illustration. Because here we see things that we read about from Exodus 25. We have the cloud, we have the similitude of the Father, we have the eye of God that watches the world, we have the dove, which is the Memphis Kiddos, coming down to rest on the shoulders of the Son. This is how the Trinity function, the nature of Christ. Father, dove, and Son. Yeah.
So now them get to see who the Son is plainly by that in the...
This is the investiture of the Son of God.
You don't have to wonder anymore
Second advent upon the throne.
who is on the throne.
Yeah, because you would see this. Where you would read this in the New Testament is in Matthew chapter 3 with the baptism of Christ in the Jordan.
In the Jordan.
When the Son, Christ, was in the Jordan. The dove came down out of this cloud. This is a cloud from Exodus 25. Right? And rested on his shoulders.
Where him saying, this is my Son.
Well, that's the voice of the Father.
Well,
who spoke. And as it tells us, when the Lord said, I spoke to you from heaven. It is like how this the Trinity, how the Trinity work. If those who don't know the Trinity work, this is what Tissiliste Selassie, which is the triune Trinity, showing a tripartite nature. That means the act of tripling. And you see that is the Bible verse, Matthew 3:16-17. This is the highly Selassie.
Yes.
They don't want you to know.
The name that Jesus Christ gave after the resurrection.
In the hands of, this is Mariam in this transfigurative state. This is what they call the transfiguration.
Yeah.
And here she is with Ethiopia in her hand. Ethiopia. Tabitse, Idawiya, Habe, Exia. Same thing we have on our class motto, our class motto, Ethiopia, Tabitse, Idawiya, Habe, Exia, here. So she is the witness, and this is like the endowment of Ethiopia to Mariam. That's why Mariam, Ethiopia is Mariam's nation.
And you see her.
Yeah, and you see how that works. So we have people having a problem with the divinity of His Majesty. Despite all this, them after 1974, they did what this guy came to do. To mash up all of this.
Right.
Because at the coronation, which they were attending, they heard, as I have to repeat myself again, they heard the priests in the church chanting to the God of Gods. Again, you can check your National Geographic if you can find the issue, but we have it on our...
We have it too.
Yeah.
I mean, we see, can find... we have evidence, and we are at court. We are at court and presenting our evidence still. Because it's just like when the Virgin then did sing that Marcus Garvey said we must look to Africa for the crowning of the Black King for redemption right near. It's like even you go back to when in a John 1 verse 40 when one of the virgins say, heard John speak and follow him, and that was Andrew, Simon Peter brother, and he first findeth his own brother Simon and said unto him, we have found the Messiah which is being interpreted the Christ. See who Moses and the prophet them speak about now
and wrote
off and now here it is now 2000 years after now the manifestation of Christ as the Lion of Judah and the gods of gods and the kings of kings
and the Coronation.
And is what caused the invasion. Trigger for the invasion.
So you could have seen even the powers where the king have, because if them could have did mash it up before it all manifest.
Yeah.
So
well, they tried before because they said what the invasion was all about is trying to overturn the victory at Adwa. Here's the victory at Adwa. There's the Roman soldiers hiding under the thing. Here's their come to sign peace treaty with the Emperor Menelik II, who defeated the Roman Catholic army in 1896, in March of April 1896. So what the invasion was about was to overthrow the homage and to try put this in His Majesty's palace. This is what they put up in His Majesty's palace.
Aided by.
Aided by, look, well, you see, these Ethiopians here,
Right.
these ones here, doing a sig heil up here. Eh?
So teach from the first advent, the Bible is very legitimate for evidence up until this time. It is a legitimate for, because that's exactly where what manifests from. So I mean,
But even, sorry to cut your brethren, but even when the brethren did mention, say, that guy with the prelude to war, it fits biblically. Because what are we talking about here if it's not biblical
manifestation?
Well, it fits biblically in history because in Daniel chapter 11, you see, most European Christians know that, because I've read their thing, even the Scofield Reference Bible, and it points to him as the man of sin, the little horn, the one who's going to blaspheme the God of gods. And if you play tapes from his boastfulness in a row, barking, like a certain, like a certain guy I know, barking at the divinity on behalf of this. So you see, they made a pact, right? They made a pact to, but it go back to the Berlin Conference. The Berlin Conference in 1896 or sometime around there. The Berlin Conference was not really to divide up Africa because Africa was already divided and conquered by the Europeans.
Yes.
It was, that conference was for them not to fight each other over the spoils of Africa and Asia and the Americas. That's what the conference was all about. It wasn't about division because there was no other country there that was free but Christian Ethiopia. And I like to emphasize Christian Ethiopia. A guy now tell me nothing. You know, see?
Yeah, but it's Christian Ethiopia, it's a Christian kingdom.
And Roman Catholics came to destroy it. Right? So when people, you know, this whole proliferation of anti-Christian sentiments and you're not making a distinction between the Christians who are to fight the fascist beasts and the Catholicism. These are the Catholics. But you see, a lot of black people was alright with that. Because me know say them a guy no pay no homage to His Majesty. Neither did him. This is Ross Goksa.
His son-in-law.
His son-in-law. Here's some more the House of Solomon. These are the House of Solomon. And they're doing this just because the Bible said greater than Solomon is here. That's why they're doing this. Because they wanted back their position. His Majesty already did fire them because they were just useless royals. No different from the English ones. They're doing nothing, not helping the people. That's how they lose the title Ras.
He took it back from them. And they were angry too. They wanted that because they know what the title means.
Well, he gave it to us because that's why we are called Rastafari. They didn't like it or not because we spread the teachings of His Majesty and the dignity of Christian
And he's the Rastafari Ras.
And they betrayed that to Mussolini. So part of reversing the defeat of Adwa, reversing the homages they paid to the King of Ethiopia was to change over things. Just like it tells in Daniel 11, and he was the one ordained to do that militarily.
So that guy there over there could fit in with the biblical prophecy when, you know, all of them want 15 minutes off. Just give me 50. I will show you I can conquer Ethiopia.
Well, they sent him. He had an army of 500,000 Italian soldiers, Roman Catholics, and he had hundreds of thousands of Eritreans, Askaris, Libyans, people.
Soldiers.
Young people have built up Libya nowadays. They are Libyans, so the Maharisti, these are not the ones on the camel, these are the other ones. They like these though. And these Eritreans will tell you they make fine colonial soldiers.
Fine.
Fine, refined. Because you would find these Askaris all over Africa.
You
know, and it's them the King Leopold used to chop up the African.
Yeah, man,
Yes.
they don't gone enough.
Yeah. All over.
Feds.
Yeah.
Within the Fez Moroccan hat, when we see also Jamaican and
Yeah.
maroon.
Yeah.
You see him, I wear it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And here we have the Somali Dubat.
Guy, every figure if you find back them fig tree, you know, them.
But here you are, brethren. These are Islamic soldiers.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't obey what the Prophet Muhammad said about
Christian Ethiopia.
Right? Not to hurt her. And I saw a video where a Muslim actually explained it biblically. I'm sure he said don't hurt the green herbs and all of them things when in the conquest. So didn't they get the message?
Yeah, because but he just didn't say don't hurt her. He said because it's a land of righteousness.
And give it and plus she gave him food, clothes, shelter, and an alphabet system. When his enemies.
Yeah, we were gonna wipe them out.
Yeah, and I wanted to hang him from the nearest tree.
That's where they went for refuge.
Yeah. So these Islamic soldiers couldn't have ever obey or respect the Prophet Muhammad.
They break the covenant. Again, they break that covenant.
They were just people that you can buy to do dirty works.
Well, what about your Islamic faith?
Right.
Not to attack Ethiopia. What about you don't obey your Prophet?
But teacher can find it in the book if they think it's a lie before they take it out, because they usually remove things when the evidence come to light. But it's in a book called Ethiopia Photograph by Richard Pankhurst.
Yeah.
You can find it in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they were working on the behalf of these people.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to how he died, how he really died.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that cannot be applied to the Holy Trinity. So forget all of that.
Yeah.
I listen last year.
Forget that.
Yeah.
Because that's why they fought, they invaded the place. To stop the worship, and we're going to show that. Right? But here we have Lema Silit Sil Teliko, the civilizing mission. Yeah, and it was a mission, Gedel, everyone wearing the cross. I can't put the English translation because the algorithm one. Gedel means to do that.
Right.
So you see, civilizing mission them put out like so them with backwards.
Well, here is
but
this
it's
because
not backwardness.
to just exclude that because for
civilizer.
They're heading the heads of the patriarchs, the soldiers. Who they beheaded them.
Yes.
And hold it up with
hold him up by him locks, see it here.
Yeah.
So what them tell the world or write in books or push, the mission wasn't to say they were being as them said,
uncivilized.
The civilizing mission was to get rid of Christianity.
Yes. By the translation it tells you.
Well, His Majesty tells us that Ethiopia maintained the original form of Christianity. So that's coming right from their Israelite tradition all the way onto the cross, onto the throne. So this is what Rome is envy.
Yeah, and His Majesty also said their mission was also to make us an eternal slave.
Yeah.
Because after that mission did accomplish them.
But these Uncle Toms here, they don't mind that. They're getting paid.
Yeah.
We see the same thing, we see the same kind of African them in Africa today. These same guys. We see them all over Africa. We see them. Why you think that Ethiopia is divided and even in Nigeria them are threatened to split up? Because these things, here's this guy here signing away Christian Ethiopia.
Yes.
And when you sign these things with the Jesuit, they are binding.
Yes.
That means that them can come to you anytime.
Yes. What you need, sign up.
Follow this, you sign, see your signature there, your thumb print.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what's going on here.
And then
it began here in Ethiopia.
And then when they do that now, them see the real blunt of them and they can debt come in front of them now, because either you do what you sign or a debt, so now.
Well, it's better to die a free man than a slave.
Than a slave.
So if you know you do wrong, if it means you have to dead, you have to dead. Don't feel no way.
Yeah, man,
stand up for the truth.
All these things was to remove her from the Bible or biblical.
Exactly.
Biblical
this is why you see even amongst black people.
Yes.
Remove from this side.
The definition. They are afraid. They don't even want to call Ethiopia.
Yeah.
even when they do mention the war, because I hear one African professor on a program, you know, but he only says, well, African American pioneered the assistance for Ethiopia during the war, and that's not true.
Right.
Because this picture here in Harlem, if you get the audio film and play it and hear which accent you hear when the news reporter go over there and asks, why are you fighting for Ethiopia? And the first one to have, you can hear the loud Jamaican accent.
Right. Right.
And I never knew that until I saw the film itself.
Right.
Because it always says African Americans.
And it's very hard to find it now, because I went to check back and it's like you go on.
The film?
With the talking part,
Yeah.
just snippets of them signing.
Yeah, because everybody. So does it make a difference whether they're Jamaicans or African Americans or West Indians, because they were the West Indians.
Right.
And it actually, we have it on record where Ethiopian wrote who supported Ethiopia more.
But His Majesty,
financially.
Yeah. Right.
It was the West Indians.
Right. But His Majesty also thank them for their and speak about their sentiment and towards the Ethiopia in their troubles, you know.
Well, this is part of our duty, because His Majesty came to Jamaica in 1966, stood in our national stadium and thanked the Jamaican people for assisting in the liberation of Christian Ethiopia. He did that. Yes, you would never hear a Jamaican bring that up. All people will say them a Rasta. All people will say them do a radio talk about black unity.
Right.
They would never say that. And when I read when His Majesty said that, you know, I remember a war soldier that lived next to our grandparents' house out in St. Catherine. We used to go out there, and he always sat alone. And me and my other two cousins, we lived with our grandparents because our parents had gone a foreign. And he used to tell us war stories. Yeah, stories about the war, but I can't remember much of it. But what I know, I felt the wound. He was wounded in battle,
Right.
and he had a big part of his head, his skull, was missing. Yeah. So when it's, you know, that to me was a pointer that I needed to study this war.
So you see, teach I experienced also a couple of them down my way. We lose all them foot and everything. Then war.
Well, in that same time,
could we forget that sacrifice that they made?
Yeah, but we see them and never know how significant
it. You know,
because they don't talk.
No way you appreciate it.
Well, nobody don't bring up this.
Yeah.
No.
Even though a lot of them fought under the British Commonwealth Army. Because the British would actually end up assisting Ethiopia after they betrayed her at the League of Nations. Yeah. England and France, along with Mussolini, they made an alliance that when they invaded Ethiopia, it's going to be split into 3 parts. Them call it, from the Berlin Conference, when they said they must fight each other. They call Ethiopia who's gonna grab a slice of the big black cake. You can find that information in a book called The Nile, Emil Ludwig. Yeah, him said. So Ethiopia was the prize, and in doing that, when them say they have to subdue Ethiopia because it meant the rising of the colored people. All that is in that book.
Ludwig.
Yeah, Ludwig's book. Yeah, all that is there. It's gonna make the people there. You know, colored is what they use in a them time because nowadays people sensitive with coloration and them things. The language then was colored people. It's gonna make the colored people rise up. You know, against colonialism.
Yeah.
But Ethiopia was betrayed, as we can see here.
Yeah.
Look at this Sig Heil here. The other day a white brother get in a trouble for do all of this. Them all mash up him car company. Yeah. And them hide these guys crying. This is the Sultan of Jimma.
Yeah.
Look at the smile on his face. And he's in Rome.
Yeah.
And
Hitler was there too.
Thank you very much.
Hitler was there too. They met up in Rome. I read it.
Of course, they are again the House of Solomon again. those of Solomon, there's a Roman, this is in Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is in Rome. Look at this. This is the Ethiopian royal house. These are the people or their descendants who want to come tell Rasta who Haile Selassie is when them don't believe this.
No. And I'm being a betrayer and a sellout.
We would never do this. It is Ethiopia that stretch forth her hands unto God. We would never do this.
They should be ashamed.
These people don't respect the Prophet Muhammad. Me even here today, these people, Eritreans and Somalians, say them hate Ethiopia. And I don't feel good about that. I'm telling the
How
truth.
can we feel good about
I don't.
when they speak of the vehicle that give us freedom?
Oh, can you
Why
hate
is it that
mother?
they say that they hate Ethiopia? What is their reason for it? They say that they hate Ethiopia?
Majesty,
We just did touch upon it a little while
Because there
ago.
must be a reason why they will hate Ethiopia.
Haile Selassie.
As compared to what they would think.
Not think I say and push.
That is a good one to still, you know. I guess I don't know if I could leave them honestly for answer.
Where that started?
Where that
I
started.
think it's biblically.
It
but
is
I
biblically.
think it's biblically.
You think it's a biblical thing, or,
Yes.
or you think
No.
it's something that is political?
And it's
It's
biblically
not
and it's against him. They're saying he's not supposed to be the ruler.
Yeah.
Satan. From day one, you remember say with the whole
Alright.
casting the dog.
Okay,
Why do they hate Ethiopia?
let's go to the root
It's
of it.
him.
It's the source. It's the source. You know when him say him search for the source of the Nile? The source of things?
The
That's what they
beginning.
want it. You
beginning.
see, part of the hate is the control tower. You know why control tower?
Want to be
Ethiopia.
God himself, want to be the
Yeah, no, God show us, so
creator.
that's it, man.
That is why the first time
That's it.
the man and woman knew him as the creator.
But you know, part of the, you know, when my youngest daughter used to go, she was friend with a lot of Somalians when them used to go school together, remember? And they used to come to our house and I used to watch how them interact, you know, and I saw hopes of African unity in that
Right.
generation. Only to hear other Somalis about them hate Ethiopia. I don't respect that. And you know, if
Hate their mother.
yeah, you
She gave them shelter.
Remember, you know, and
you
your mother
hate
and your
her so
father, you know.
much that you would go
Plot.
here.
Right.
Yes. And
The man who biblical prophecy identify as the leader of the newly risen Roman Empire,
Right.
the
Biblical.
beast,
Ah,
the man of sin.
Yes.
Read it in the book of Daniel.
So they would have
They
tell
come
alright
on and
then.
them
So you
things
see
there.
how biblical it get again because them so they would have give the power. They would have give them power to the beast.
Peace.
Then what this?
And
What's this?
Haile Selassie is the power, so they
Yeah.
give away
So-
that power and give.
Yeah.
Isn't this the representative of the fourth
Here's
beast
the
of
receipt.
Benito Mussolini?
Oh,
So,
really?
so who this assigned?
Yes.
Is a black guy.
Yeah. And his
A
own
Hugo
son-in-law.
African. You have enough African like him
Yeah.
still in the boat. That's why the war can't done.
Yeah. So you
Signing away our future in with God.
So you go back again and the question you ask, brethren, what's the cause? You have to go back biblically.
they must say one thing, and it's not that still, you know. And
No,
it's-
no.
and still what it is, then don't say.
They're
Well, we
on.
gonna say it.
Yeah.
You understand? So certain things.
And some people not
Because
saying
as far as I know, you know, I hear them say that I listen to say I burn up the whole little children them and kill them out.
Me hear that to our people with you.
That I hear them say, but it must be coming from somewhere.
Where's their receipt?
beyond that,
Roger?
because that is not true. I listen to say didn't do that.
He
Yeah.
built schools for them.
He built schools. But then where's their receipt? To show that he did that.
I'm
to,
no man
to
no
talk,
receipt. Just
you
go
know?
away with all of that.
No, well,
Well, you're right. Go
Keep
away
no
with
receipt.
that.
Yeah,
It's true.
Go away with that.
propaganda,
Yeah, it's
man.
true.
Propaganda.
I don't need
Yeah.
no receipt.
Remember
Here's the
propaganda,
receipt right here.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
saying-
Here's the receipt right
Send
here.
out.
Yeah.
Here's the receipt right here. See it, yeah?
Then why
And
the war
he's the
go
one,
away? They go.
not Adolf, the next one. He's the one who started the war.
Here, the march of history was reversing itself. In Italy, it began when an ambitious rabble-rouser set his followers marching on Rome. The country, like every other country after the last war, was torn by political unrest, hard times, unemployment. Two courses were available to the Italian people. They could solve their problems in a free, democratic way, or they could let someone else do the solving for them. They made the tragic mistake of choosing the second course. They put their trust and faith in this one man. They believed he represented them.
Yes.
So he was part of the Concord and the Lateran Pact.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to bring back
Yes.
the prize, the great black cake.
Yes.
As how them describe Ethiopia. And his failure to do that would lead to his death. But first, Italy was beaten. Fascist Italy surrendered on May 5th, 1941. That was 84 years ago. Yeah, this is the Ethiopian Liberation Day. You would never see a World War II expert print this picture. Find it, you know.
Right.
How fortunate I was.
Right.
And this is the Duke of Aosta, see me? He had to fled the palace with them wire. And they surrendered here. So again, they were ashamed, just like they were defeated in Ottawa. Right? So His Majesty spared them, unlike Ottawa, where none of them get juke up on.
Yeah, I know.
Things. His Majesty spared them. He gave a mercy proclamation and offered them and everyone who had betrayed him, undermined him, belittled him, laugh at him, to come and celebrate in the spirit of Christ.
God in his authority, man.
Forgiveness.
Yeah,
He
man.
just by his words. Just by his words.
And when he defeated
You know.
the fascists, one of the first battlefield was Deborah Marcus. So here is the Lion of Judah raising the flag at Deborah Marcus. And the gospel was freed once more. Yeah, the gospel was freed once more because them come to lock it down.
Yeah, them come to lock it down. They would have the writings. They have the
they
writings.
know that's
While it was
because
in press, they came with war.
Yeah, they
to
come.
lock it down.
So the gospel was freed once more.
Once more, proclamation of the good
because
news.
the dragon couldn't prevail.
But so again, the reason why, in a 12 again, man, the lady and him child, man, the dragon get angry, man, just a wait for the manifestation of the revelation of Haile Selassie, man. And then when I say after that, the dragon get rage, man.
And the one of them was in alliance with them.
So, well, that's the reason.
So this is the reason now why they hate Haile Selassie, why people hate Christianity. Why did Isaiah say that the inhabitants of this island and they shall be ashamed and afraid of Ethiopia, their expectation. Why is that? And that island is Jamaica.
Yes,
And this is where, because you have those ones who say, behold, such is our expectation. Because that's how we're going to escape the hand of the Assyrian.
Right, yes.
That's the escape route.
Right.
But you have those ones there where these are the ones who are at the back of, they represented by the back tail of the dragon to Haile Miriam Mengistu.
Yeah, if you haul it down.
Yeah, and fought on the gospel, like all them radio personalities.
Right, and say bad things. And
The dragon.
Bad things.
Without
Hear what the dragon say again before we go, oh, the boy are dead.
Yeah.
From Daniel 7 verse 25. Belihul Ixia be here. Who is that? Who have that title?
The most I got Haile Selassie.
Okay, thank you, sir. Belihul Ixia be here lie metabai. So metabai is to Yinagaral, to speak nasty things. Just like when you hear them saying burn up baby, sacrifice baby, kill baby with unibrow, starve his people, feed him dogs still. Well it's the same.
All they plant.
I mean, I met the famine happen.
Right.
The famine took place in this province, where these people are, doing their sig heil to the beast.
Yeah, so...
So, go back, go check.
Judgment drop.
Alright.
Go back, go check it.
Alright.
Where the famine was in 74. It was in this province.
Where the virgin did say...
Where this guy come from?
Yeah, they had elected official to...
No, anytime if there's a famine in our province here, you go down to Queen's Park. You don't go to Ottawa. You go get the Prime Minister of the province or the governor.
Right.
He's the one who is responsible for that.
Yes.
But somehow they end up blame His Majesty.
Yeah. They're the one that
He's
starved
not
their people.
responsible for the province.
I blame
No.
God.
Yeah, that's a provincial affair.
Yeah.
If you want federal funding to help you with the famine, then you can go to Ottawa.
Yeah.
No, they are blaming
You go
God
to
for
the-
their
yeah,
ranks.
yeah.
Their
The
ranks are
federal
good.
government.
Yeah.
Lying rascal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is why they're speaking nasty things.
Terrible things.
Yeah, meted by against the Most High.
I say I know him and all this.
Yeah, and then you
claim, claim.
yeah, you take they say him, you Exhibier Hizib Yas Genical. So he's gonna fight against the saints of the Most High and oppress the people of God.
Oppress them, yeah.
Yeah, and then you Hymenot Bea Latin, Higina Surhatin, Yile Wawutal. So they want to change
Faith.
the order, the religious orders, the religious procedures.
Right.
We hear
Yeah.
boy, I come talk about Rasta no mean that it mean them try get Jewish meaning and them things that right down there in Jamaica, you know, things that them a talk Hebrew when it's the Canaanite speech. And Canaanites or Harvardites are not those who define what Shem is.
Then they cut off.
Yeah, but you don't tell us, you don't tell we who what Shem is.
You can't
The
tell
God of
me.
Shem is Haile Selassie.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you get cut off, you can't say.
Yeah, so this is what they're trying to do. And if you say the Bible no matter, like here, radio personalities that
Right.
store up dreadlocks people,
Yeah.
Say, I'm a religion, that now deal with it. So they're under, that come under these orders to set out this fourth beast and the new Roman Empire to carry out these things. So Italy was, the fascists were defeated on the 5th of May 1941. They were trembling and His Majesty made a raid.
Yeah.
So come and we start again in the spirit of Christ. Italy's second defeat was in North Africa. They tried to invade Egypt.
Do not shame
And then
Ethiopia, he said.
them getting a problem.
Worthy of our
Hitler
enemies.
sent the desert
Haile Selassie has
fox
triumphed
Robinson
over Italy's profane
to try
fascist
to take
regime.
Egypt because you know the war, this World War II part of Africa, that's the second largest land battlefield
Right.
from Morocco
Right.
to Egypt to Ethiopia. It goes all the way down to Madagascar. Them fire up shop down there, so naval gunfire, and in West Africa too, over at Senegal where them sink up the French Navy. All them things that the war was wide.
Wide.
It's a world war.
The country,
Yeah, the
country
war.
in the
Here
world.
we go again.
Just because they came, they didn't like
Yes.
that a certain child was
Was
going to
born,
born
yes.
to rule.
Who rules?
I mean, see people are make video about it, him never meant to rule and all the kind of talk. But it's dragon,
Those are again the words that they're speaking.
but it's dragon talk.
yeah, dragon talk. Yeah, dragon
And
talk.
so him not for rule.
Right. A dragon talk.
A dragon, and they try to subdue the rule.
Because the king said for this purpose he was born.
Yeah, he was born to
And
rule.
To rule, like they say he was born to rule.
Yeah,
so
so-
I guess them now hear what the king said.
Well, it's the will of God against the will of man.
yeah.
So, 2 times Italy get beat. Ethiopia, in Egypt at El Alamein, and then in Rome itself, when the U.S. Army, the Army General Mark Clark, went there and they surrendered there and Italy changed side. He changed side. General Graziani, the butcher of Addis Ababa, was made prime minister temporarily. This king now, him ordered Mussolini's arrest. Yeah, him ordered him to be arrested. And then they had him up in this little mountain place. Hitler sent a real tough German commander named Schwarzenegger or something like that to go up there, go get him, and they rescued Mussolini. Right, despite the king couldn't order his arrest without the Pope.
Oh,
'Cause remember, he was supposed to bring back a slice, of the great
Yeah,
black cake.
Exactly,
And
with
they
that
make them take
sign
it-
and that sign
And he
in
make them take it
there.
for Friday.
Yeah,
He failed. So
yeah.
when you fail in the mafioso business,
Off with you.
okay, so them set out a bounty upon him.
Right.
He was captured by communist partisans who shot him up, full him a bullet hole, give him a shower posse kind of ending, and hung him up upside down. Right?
You see
All
what that
because So they said that is death still.
Yeah, make him go
Oh,
right
that horrible.
back down where
But
you
the
came
reason
from.
for his death was for the reason for the invasion, to grab
Yeah.
the great black cake. I'll use M.L. Ludwig's word. Yeah, that's what they call Ethiopia at the Berlin Conference. And yeah, that's like the great black cake. That's what they all wanted. It was the prize. She was the threat. With her being free, the black man is gonna rise. Them used colored people in that time. That was the language, but that's what they fear. And even just to when they invaded Ethiopia, the black people did rise.
Yeah.
From the Caribbean to America, Africa, all the way to India.
Sure, yeah.
All the way to India. You can read, I think that information and that the sons of Sheba's race, something that we should always keep in mind. All the way to India. Yeah, they did rise. And that's what the cause of fear.
Yes.
This is why.
The rise of the colored people.
Yeah, the rise of the colored people.
I would like to know that England was so powerful in those times politically and in terms of colonial dominance. Where was she in terms of stopping this thing from taking place with Ethiopia?
Okay, well, as we said, in the League of Nations, when His Majesty went to the League, here, so the League is fallen because of what he's speaking about. When he went to the League, England and France made a pact with Mussolini, and they were supposed to divide the pie. Even in the map here, we can't see it, because this is what they boasted that they conquered, and it wasn't this conquered or occupied. This is occupied, right? This shaded here is occupation.
Yeah.
Is that conquered? What about this part? Is that conquered?
No.
This is conquered? This is conquered? So what's all this? Propaganda.
That word can't come in it.
Because it was never conquered, and plus His Majesty moved his government from Addis Ababa to the province of Lubabar, which was out of the range of the Italian aircraft.
Okay.
That's where the government was.
Okay, on the outer skirts.
Yes. But you see, the problem is they didn't want to recognize the government. Them say done. And he must give it up.
So it's like England are use French alliance in proxy.
Yeah, England and France were supposed to, with Italy, get a piece of the pie. Or the cake.
They're in a fraternity.
So you did say something that they fear the rise of the
Colored people.
Yeah.
That's what's written in M.L. Ludwig's book.
so it's also a prophecy too, because here it's saying as Zephaniah 9 verse 13, when I have been Judah for me, fill the bow with Ephraim and raise up thy sons of Zion against thy sons, O Greece. Oh Greece, that Europe, you know.
Yeah.
So our time come, is the Lord come, so them are that prophecy them are fighting, you know.
Well, here is the part of the changes where Beast Boy want them make to change up. This is what they want us to believe the 68 Psalms look like. Like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That?
Yeah.
Remove
Yes.
God.
Is this the same as this?
No.
It's not the same.
No.
So why are Pentecostal Ethiopians trying to deceive us? You can't fool the Rasta man.
But they don't.
Them don't know that yet.
So that picture come into play when now?
This coming, they started to put this out in the 90s.
Yeah.
In our calendar.
Yes.
It's come lately.
Sure,
It's a calendar when we
compare
see.
it, like, Jeffrey, catch it, Jeffrey?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Jeffrey catch it still.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you bring it up. Come here, I said, yeah.
Is this the same thing?
Yeah.
They remove God, you know, see they remove God out of that picture.
And these are the
And
people.
they know it.
And these are the people
Yeah.
who have made video about Rasta this and Rasta that and all them kind. These are the people, and well, I always say those propagandas were coming from those Ethiopians. Like this
Yeah.
is made for the anti-Rasta Jamaicans.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like dog vomit licking up for them.
Yeah.
If it said the Rasta man is
The two
wrong.
of them is
But
one
is
and
this
the
right?
same.
Who is wrong here? They're trying to change this.
Yes.
Just like it tell you in Daniel 7 verse 25.
Like,
Yeah, so if it's this is so and it's not so.
you know what I mean?
This look like a lost girl looking for whoever they have in the sky. Yeah.
You see them?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, and this one here is some people come up with door, come let this off. And even when the sister tell her, them say we don't need it, have a good day and you can, you know, them ask if them can leave it. And them send kids there.
Yeah.
Them left it upon all of the floor, them and the people them fling it away.
Yeah.
Because they want you to see that Jesus look like this. Jesus look like this.
Yeah.
Where's the woolly hair?
Here.
Where's the brown skin or brown? Where's all that?
Where's that?
Yeah, and Jesus never dressed like this.
Anytime them call that name, you know, that is just what they want
But
to
if you
project.
listen, Billy Graham said Jesus is not a white
Yeah,
man.
sure, yeah. And he's
Well, there's the Negro there who is putting out these things. See him there? You see him? The Nignag boy. Is he any different from these guys?
no.
Any different?
No.
Things still are going
They are
on.
still exactly. Things Psalm
Yeah, they
68 are really still
They want us to follow this and then
Let me see. Where is anybody?
the back. Me never
Turn the
even
back.
see the back.
Get
See
paid
there?
to deceive
Go out in the light out
Yeah.
their sister.
But the Bible tells you, sir,
Stay on
they
top,
sat in council
Against,
the Lord God Almighty.
why do the heathen rage?
this is disappointing. This is why we encourage all those who are still faithful and so forth to study the Amharic language so you cannot be deceived by pretty girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need Mariam, a woman, a virgin of the mind, a virgin of the spirit, virgin of the flesh.
Yeah.
But them throw water upon their history.
Yeah.
And talk about nothing no go, so it's just a vodka drink with tomato juice. Bloody Mary, they say.
But you see, when you're pointing to it, there's that picture of so much
Foolishness.
story because, you know, Sister the light is to him.
Yeah, and the dove.
And the dove and everything. The virgin is confirming that, you know,
That this is my son.
this is my son. She now go up, so.
And this is what they call the Asrate Bequirat, the endowment of Ethiopia to
Yeah.
Mariam. There is the
He
60s
is
right
now.
in,
Yes,
in our
it's-
hands.
it's-
There, through the Memphis Kiddos, Father, Dove, and Son.
And he was clothed with.
When I first saw that picture there with the father and the son, immediately is like confirmation. It wasn't even like
The first time you see it.
Yeah, the first time you see
It's
it.
like something stamping from this up.
That was it. You know, it's not like say me have no say.
And then you go read it. That is the full confirmation.
If I see it, I hear it.
Yes.
You hearing about, I grew up in a yard, you know, hear about His Majesty. When I come here, me at 20, the first time I go see a picture of His Majesty, and know say him that, you know.
And I know, you know, so no light a shine from nowhere else. Everywhere is in darkness.
Just like how Bob say him looking in a Europe and he looking at China and him look for God. And when him looking at Ethiopia and see the kings of kings. And it is just plain, I mean.
A.J. Rogers did go there, attend the coronation, and him come back and him say him believe he has seen Christ.
But in the great men of color, in the great men of color,
Yeah.
in
That's
either
why
in
him
a
write
volume
it
1
in
or
the
volume
back.
2, him say Haile Selassie is perfect spitting example of Christ.
Yeah, I must, yeah. Something
Yeah,
like
that mean
Yeah. It's
It's him.
image of Christ.
It's the image.
Yeah, that's what
The
it is.
image of
It is a revelation and the personification
So you say, oh no.
in
We have to
identification.
use the Bible is the refuge and the, what do you call it, the confirmation of things seen. When we
Right,
see
so that's
it.
to exemplify the Trinity, man, which is,
Well,
which
what's
is
this?
Christ.
Then here
You
it
have
is
to know
right
what
here.
the Trinity
Yeah.
is like before you
Well,
can-
what is this
Yeah.
right
This
here?
is an exemplification of Jesus
This
Christ.
is called the Tissilist
Remember.
Selassie, the triune Trinity.
Okay.
One who showing a tripartite nature, which is the nature of Christ. The ability to triple, to show the divinity. This is what you call elect of God.
Right. So now
Not
that
men.
That's why this is an offense.
So now that we are on that level of who Christ really is and the manifestation of Him, let's not always want to hear the answer somebody tell you say yes I Him, because him say if you seek Him, and him say him never say yeah somebody if you come seek Him, you know.
Yeah. And
personal him say seek him
and
and
him,
find him. Right?
him said, somebody say, see him there, is not the right person.
Alright, so look,
So you have to go read.
so
You
look
have to go
now,
find.
what I'm trying to get to. To show you how that His Majesty is really the person what we're looking for and the manifestation of
What
Christ
them a
himself.
look for.
Where them a look for, where them a look for. No, they all our life we go up come see a white Christ, even our parents' house, and it's still in there till now.
So
The
how
white
we never-
man, you know, give it to us, or to our people then. And yet now, when Christ himself come, them the man them who give the picture to our parents we observe say them are the Christ. Asking the real Christ, are you the reincarnation of Jesus Christ? You want to hear the answer for that? You want to hear the white man still give you the answer after I ask Christ if I am a Christ?
So this is where you thought you call it the Haile Selassie are showing about the
Just look on this on us.
the confidence.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, you know, is like you give somebody something to me to worship, say you is the person, but when the person come around, you realize that this is the person. The person make you have to ask if I him. So if that's why the Lord say who have ears to hear, let them hear. Because here is the question what they asking His Majesty in the heart of Europe, Canada. Are you the reincarnation? Eh? Are you the reincarnation?
Them conscience don't clear. That's why them ask that question.
Right, but they should have tell the people that here is Christ. That's why you're right to use that word. Their
Conscience don't
is not
clear. It's foggy for them.
That is what His Majesty
And we come to clear up the fog. Yeah.
Because the light has shine from His Majesty and they must see it.
They know him,
And but they must deny it at the same time.
The word, you know, remember in the beginning was the word. A peer word His Majesty using a Burhan Selassie.
But him is the
Burhan remember Burhan Salam, light and peace.
Him is the word of the Spirit.
Then know when Christ utter peace, man. No other man utter peace in our earth internationally, man. It's only Christ, you know, when war was, when Christ time, you know, him say peace on earth, you know, that means say no peace never on earth, you know, till His Majesty come see him, he come give us Nigo Salam, you know, again, King of Peace, light
But
and peace.
when him did pre to that, no, I was just thinking, when he was going into Jerusalem, and the children them must say Hosanna, Hosanna, and them tell them to shut up.
Right.
This time around,
That's a Rastafari.
we're not going to
Rastafari.
say that
They
anymore.
must say-
We're not going to stay silent because
Right.
we are afraid. We're not afraid or ashamed.
Okay, so
But
this war here,
Yes.
we always have to remind.
Yes, man.
Over 70 million people were killed when
Right.
the war began in Ethiopia. On October 3rd, 1935 was the day of the invasion.
Yeah, they
early
break
in
the
morning.
covenant. They break the
Yeah,
covenant.
and they came and they tried to, they slaughtered priests, they slaughtered all the freshly educated people.
Yeah.
They burned books, burned churches, killed wantonly, sprayed chemical mustard gas outlawed from World War I. They sprayed that all over the countryside. And for those Ethiopians who ask whether he fled or political battle, the last battle there at Maichau, they were losing. They were losing the battle. And then they start to spray the mustard gas. And you see the difference between Ethiopia being attacked with chemical mustard gas and World War I.
Right.
That World War I they were fired from artillery shells.
Right.
Here they were sprayed
From
from
the air.
aircraft.
Spread out more.
Yeah,
And from
they
artillery
did
shells.
that first, yeah. It's actually when the artillery shells them because they never really met much effect to the Ethiopian soldiers. Through His Majesty guided them well around them, show them, and the shells them by themselves. When they see them know say they have to stay away from it. That's when them decide now for put on some fine spray.
Yeah.
Right, so,
Yeah, man,
so
like-
let's throw some fine rain to drench the whole
Drench
earth.
the whole place.
And the people there.
Kill me. Hold on. So enough of the time.
Because as His Majesty said, they feared a rout.
Look at the ground.
The Italian army feared a rout from the Ethiopian army, and that's why they went to. That's why they went to such extreme.
Right.
Yeah, they were losing the war.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they were.
And His Majesty going back, this is in the Sudan with his frontier battalion. Yeah, battalion is 800 to 1200 man, and half of them was Muslim, half of them were Christian. And with these 800, that's how them take the Marcos, a heavily fortified fascist place. But as we said before, the gospel was freed again when he captured there. So he took this route. The British army came from Somaliland and Kenya. His Majesty took the route from the Sudan down to here and eventually to Addis Ababa.
So all of this kind of a behavior now, people don't categorize it or recognize it as terror.
No, the victim get the blame.